You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Kev, are we calling Grin and Barrett?
Yes, this is Grin.
Hey, Grin, this is the NWA Continental Champion, Will Huckabee. I'm joined by the Bronze God, Lennox Norris. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Just laid back, chilling.
That's good to hear. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. Yeah,
no
first off, for our listeners who are not very familiar with you, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how you got started in this crazy, crazy world of professional wrestling?
Oh, boy. All right. Where do I start? Well, there was a mutual friend of mine that was playing softball with a referee that refereed the LWF. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the LWF, Lunatic Wrestling Federation. He's telling them they're doing tryouts. So I decided to go down there, me and my friend, which is the ringmaster. If you guys ever heard of him, he's the manager of me, with our little group called the Three Rings. And I tried out. It was like 85 guys were there, and out of 85 guys, I was one of the 5 guys that kept, and out of the 5 of us, 3 of us stayed and learned. That's the same company that CM Punk came out of, and Billy Wack, and Mike Brooks, and Venom. I don't know if you guys ever heard any of these guys or not. A lot of them are working for Pro Wrestling Blitz right now. So, so I tried out, and I last. I ended up wrestling till 2004, and then I retired for a while. A friend of mine passed away. His name was Botch. He ran with Machine. They were the Grave Diggers. And when he passed away, I went to his funeral, and I got kind of sucked back in the business for a few more shows. Then I left again, and then I've been back for 5 years now, just killing it, going everywhere, wrestling. I wrestled for a lot of wrestling companies for a while, and then now I'm just wrestling mostly for Pro Wrestling Blitz.
I've seen that. I was saying you're the Pro Wrestling Blitz heavyweight champion, defending the title this coming Saturday, correct?
I'm the No Limits champion.
Yeah.
Melanie Cruz is actually the heavyweight champion.
So the face paint, how did they come about with the face paint and the persona of Grin and Barrett? How did that all come along?
Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I grew up in a town called Calumet City, and we have water towers with smiley faces. Well, my uncle, if it's true or not, he's full of crap sometimes. So my uncle said that he told the guys to paint the smiley face on the water towers. So, I just figured, well, maybe I'll do something with some kind of like Calumet City and, something my uncle had came up with the concept of that, and I'll turn it into some kind of a wrestling gimmick. So I wrote about 10 names down, and Grin just seemed to be the one that made sense. You put a big smile on your face and act like a psycho. Why not call yourself Grin? So, and I've been the character ever since, my whole career.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We're talking to the Pro Wrestling Blitz, No Limits Wrestling champion, Grin and Barrett. I'm going to pass the mic on over to the Bronze God, Lennox Norris. Lennox, what question do you have for Grin and Barrett?
Yeah, I was going to ask, were you, did you start out as Grin? Was that your name your whole career so far?
Yep. Yeah, I've been Grin ever since. I just keep adding to the character, too. It's like, when I started off, I just put this black makeup on, and that was it. But later on, down the line, when I first joined Blitz, the promoter, Tony Scarpone, said, why don't you do something with more makeup, like the Joker or something? And I'm like, well, I'd rather do something with makeup, but I don't think I want to do anything that anyone else has seen before, because I don't want to be known as the Joker or known as any other character. I'm trying to just be my own. So I'm sitting up all night watching Face Off, and man, the light bulb just popped when I was watching that show. I don't know, it's on the Sci-Fi. And and I just started coming up with all kinds of different ideas and schemes on a piece of paper, and then that's what you see on my Facebook. Is the black and green.
That's what got your creative juices going, huh?
Oh yeah.
There are certain things that you'll see that inspire you to get your creative juices going. That's what it seemed like Face Off did for you.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the way they made movie monsters and stuff kind of just motivated me to do something, better and bigger with my gimmick. So it kind of inspired me to do it.
Now, Grin, I was going to ask you, because you've done something that a lot of wrestlers today don't really get a chance to, and it's very difficult to do. You just had an autograph signing for the Children's Miracle Network at Walmart. How did that come about, and how was that whole experience?
Oh, it's great. I've been doing it for this will be my fourth year doing it. And we were trying to think of ways to raise money for Children's Miracle Network, and I had told the managers, I go, well, what do you think about me coming in as my gimmick? You know, signing autographs, helping raise money for children. I mean, sick kids. I mean, I'd love to do it. And they said, yeah, come on in. And it was pretty successful. I did it for like 2 days. The first year I did it, and was able to raise $1,000 something. Then the following year, about 300 and something for like 2 hours I did it for. And then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So as my popularity, you know, gets bigger, people are more self-aware of what I do and stuff, so they can come out and donate money and stuff. So the more people that see it, the better, because then I'm helping raise more money for the Children's Miracle Network. So
now, are you ever worried that you're going to end up on one of those YouTube videos, you know, people in Walmart studios? You ever worried that you're going to end up on one of those?
Well, you know, if I do, that's more publicity for me. You're like, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy. Now, Grin, you know, you're there in the Midwest and stuff. How is, in your opinion, you know, from when you started and then left the business in 2004 to now, how much different is not only the wrestling business in whole, but how in your opinion, how the locker room is, how, you know, a lot of the younger guys that come into business and how they get to the business, how has that changed so much since you first stepped into the ring? Well, yeah, when I started off, wrestling was still the secret, you know, the kayfabe existed. So it was cool up to the time when it all started to come out that, you know, the finish and all everything is all written and fixed and all that stuff. And it really put something sick in my stomach, because I was kind of pissed that it was happening, because it kind of kills the illusion of our business. So back then, the guys back like in the 80s didn't really have to do a whole lot like these guys are doing now, like all these flips and all that stuff. They were more concentrating on putting on a show and getting their character over. And the difference between like that until today, now guys just want to show off and do all these flashy moves and stuff, and they forget the art of wrestling is telling a story in the ring and establishing who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Like, the bad guy would never really do any flashy stuff. They were all known for doing more power moves and cheating and choking. Now you see guys that are being bad guys, but they're doing a lot of high-flying stuff and everything. And I just don't, you know, I don't agree with it unless it's a small guy against a big guy. That makes sense. And I think now it's a lot easier for guys to get in the business in the independent scene, because there's 1,000, like, little businesses. I mean, it just seems like they just pop up everywhere. And back then, it was just territory, and there was only a few wrestling companies, because you had to pay for licensed referees, and you had to have an MTR there, and you had to pay the state money to run a wrestling company. So you didn't see too many independent wrestling companies running as much as you do now. So to see so many wrestling companies, it's just kind of like, it gets the fan, I guess, confused to what real good wrestling is to some bad wrestling that backyarders bought a ring and had a bunch of guys just come and wrestle and never been trained properly, how to tell a story, how to take the falls, how to run the ropes the correct way. And that's the biggest difference I see, you know, in this business.
Do you think it'll ever go back to the way it was?
Well, that's up to the states. If the states start charging money and you have to have licensed referees, then that's almost a blessing in disguise, because then all these companies would probably disappear because they wouldn't be able to afford all of it. You know, it's just about the money. You know, it seems it's pretty easy to start a wrestling company anymore, you know.
It's funny, you actually already answered the other question I had, was how do you think it's affected the business? But you've already, you know, answered that question, because that's kind of like how I felt about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys feel that way, you know.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. I'm your host for the second hour, the NWA Continental Champion, Will Huckabee. Just want to pay some bills real quick and say, hey, while you're listening to the podcast, go to your computer, type in and look for WrestleWorks.com. It's an online community, you know, keeping everybody together, managers, ballets, wrestlers, fans. While you're at it, click over to another tab on your computer, go to tshirtworldorder.com, pick you up a shirt from not only Lennox North, Congo Kong, and the little midget shrimp fry who's trying to steal my job, Troy Miller, but also go ahead and get a t-shirt from your favorite podcast, The Undisputed Wrestling Show, and Grin, you're going to love this one. If you type in the promo code Grin, that's GRIN, you'll get a 5% discount on your order this week and this week only. Now, Grin,
sure,
let me get back to
smile on your face.
Grin, we were talking earlier about, you know, what's going on in TNA and about, you know, the Taz not showing up for work today because I guess he didn't get paid or his check bounced or whatever. And I'm not sure if you heard the story, you kept up with it or whatever. But how do you feel about that? You know, guys are out there at the show working, especially at TNA or WWE. You know, you're expecting to get paid every week, and then your check doesn't come. Do you think Taz was right for not showing up to work and doing the voiceovers that was needed for the upcoming TV shows? Or do you think that he should have stayed and still did it and just waited for his month?
I guess it depends how many times they stiffed him. I mean, maybe he hasn't talked about times that happened in the past. So, you know, maybe he was on his line of just being fed up with it and decided that he wasn't going to show him. I don't really know the whole story. Yeah, it was kind of a little unprofessional, but it was unprofessional on their part for not paying the man. So
now that leads into my next question, and I usually ask everybody this question. What's your worst story as far as, you know, not getting paid from a promoter? And I'm not, you know, talking about the hot dog and a handshake gimmick that we all get when we're first starting out, but worst promoter story ever where like the promoter ran out with the money or something. I know you got to have at least one of them.
Oh, I have one, but you know, just remembering the wrestling company and remembering the promoter was just two different things. Because I know the story by heart, but I don't remember the actual company or the guy's name because it was like so long ago. The promotion was, you know, raising money for cancer, and this guy put all these like yesterday's superstars, and then he promised the other wrestlers a certain amount of money. So everybody was getting paid a certain amount of money depending on where they were coming from. So we go to the show, and then the kid gets out there to do the announcement, and there's only 35 people in the crowd. So, and on top of that, this kid is like running the superstars that supposedly didn't show up, running their name into the ground, but, you know, only 35 people were there, so who gives a crap, right? Because he's talking out his ass. And all of the boys and us are in the back going, holy crap, who the hell does this kid think he is? So we went ahead and did the show. Because it's more like practice now. So it's like, all right, well, cool. We can go out there and we could just straight up wrestle and practice, whatever. So, you know, he almost just went out there and called the whole match while we were in the ring. So then at the end of the show, well, more in the middle of the show, one of the actual superstars show up, and the kid only had half his money. So this guy was going to, like, beat the holy shit out of this kid. And the parents got involved. We found out this kid was just, like, 21 or 20 years old trying to run a wrestling promotion. And he's shaking like a leaf. This guy's going to break him in half. The mom and the father comes up, and he starts talking to me, going, I can't believe this guy would do that. And I go, well, if the kid was going to do a wrestling show, he should have had everybody's payday before he even did a wrestling show, because it's unfair for the boys in the back to travel and not get paid. You know, we're professionals. So the parents just looked at me like amazed, like, oh, my God, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, the fuck's wrong with you? So he ends up not having any money to pay the boys. So he's in the back of the building with the cops there, and the cops made him take all the money out of his pocket, and he's shaking like a leaf, and he's handing everybody like $10 here, $20 there, $5, and everybody got screwed, and it was just a funny story, because it was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is really happening. But that was the last time that happened to me that time, because I ask a lot of questions now before I wrestle for anybody.
Lennox, what do you have for Grin?
I saw on your page that you've wrestled for PCW before.
Yeah.
Is it the pro wrestling? This is the Pro Championship Wrestling promotion in Chicago?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. With Strict Knight ran the company at the time. A bunch with Jimmy Blaze and John Burke. I think there was like 5 owners. Too many owners, I remember, at the time when I wrestled there.
So how was your experience there? How did you like it there?
Well, at that time in my profession, it was kind of like I thought it was going to be my last run in the wrestling business. So, I mean, it has its ups and downs. I mean, some matches were fun, but the problem with that promotion is it seemed like the owners wanted to get themselves over and not give other guys a chance. So I think that's what I didn't like about the company, and that's eventually it just got to me, and I just said, I'm just done with wrestling. That was it. It was just an up and down battle in that company. So it wasn't one of my favorite companies to work for.
So you would say Pro Wrestling Blitz is a lot better than, right?
Oh, yeah, man. I've wrestled for a lot of companies, and the thing I like about Pro Wrestling Blitz is it's a lot different from everywhere I work. I mean, they actually have a Titantron. They have guys that show up that actually, have respect for the business and work hard at their gimmicks and at wrestling. So everybody there is always working hard. Every match I see, you don't see a guy slacking, and that's what I think everybody just kind of in the back of the locker room respects each other, and we just kind of feed off each other. So when you're out there, you want to put on a good performance, because not only do you want the people to get their money's worth, but you want the whole show, the whole overall show to be great. So I mean, they got guardrails there. Everybody's respectful, and it's just a good environment.
Now, Grin, I'm originally from St. Louis, and now I live in North Carolina. But Chicago, you wrestle in the Chicago area, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how is Chicago as far as a wrestling town goes? I know, when you think of wrestling cities, you think of Charlotte, you think of, Dallas, you think of Philly, of course you think New York. And I've heard, especially talking to a lot of guys and stuff who've been in that area, my buddy Sugar Dunkerton and stuff, and a lot of guys love working in that Chicago area. What do you think is the difference between wrestling in Chicago and anywhere else? And what makes Chicago so special for a lot of guys?
Well, I honestly thought Chicago was the spot fest city where every match you see 1,000 spots in with the good wrestling companies that gives people. But once I seen Gorilla, I think it's called Gorilla something, where every match has to do with flying off the top rope and doing all these flips and dives. And I mean, I don't know how you up your wrestling match if you're doing 1,000 finishers. And so Chicago is known for, we like to chain wrestle, and we like to wrestle, and Tennessee and Southern wrestling is more of a slower pace wrestling and take a lot of time, and Chicago's a lot of action packed, going on. So that's the 3 states I can use an example, because I really don't know what New York has, or California, a few other areas. I'd love to find out. I'm trying to get connections to wrestle in New York, and I'm trying to get out to L.A. to wrestle for Freak Show Wrestling for Sin Bodhi. So I'm trying to get places. It just costs money.
Oh, everything costs money. Now, of course, everybody loves Chicago is the home of CM Punk. Everybody loves CM Punk. The fans, and one of my greatest memories, especially, about Chicago wrestling, is when he was going against John Cena during SummerSlam, and there was a huge sign that said, "If Cena wins, we riot." Or, the shows that you go to, are the fans there just as voracious as they are that you see on TV, or at these smaller shows where you work at, is it even worse?
For chanting CM Punk chants, or?
Oh, no, just wrestling fans in general. They just are Chicago fans just as outspoken and loud there as they are with your show?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think every guy in the back has their fan base. I know that the Blitz fans have greeted me very well. They seem to love me there, and I'm very grateful for it. But yeah, I mean, I guess you hear different chants and different pops and for certain guys in the back. You know, not every guy gets a match where it's loud and people are into it. I think that's the difference between independent wrestling and WWE is their fans are, you know, it's their, you know, as they say, the universe. It's their universe, you know. So I think fans tend to feed off of each other in every city. They feed off the chants and stuff off TV and stuff, and, you know, they get excited to go to a show like that so they can be part of that. You know, as an independent show, you're always having different people come and see you. So you'd almost have to have that same fan base follow you constantly, you know, to know who to cheer for and who to boo and get excited about doing certain chants and stuff. So I think that's a big difference between WWE and independent wrestling.
Lennox, you got one more question for Grin before we go ahead and start wrapping this up, Chief?
Yes, and before I ask that question, I have to correct you on something. It was actually the Money in the Bank pay-per-view instead of SummerSlam that was in Chicago. So I remember watching that pay-per-view.
I'm sorry. He told you.
It's all good. So, Grin, what do you plan on accomplishing as you go along in the wrestling business in this latest run you have?
I mean, I've always wanted to be a heavyweight champion. That's one accomplishment I'm going for. I would love to do something for, you know, WWE, but unfortunately I'm not that young anymore, so they're not looking for old guys. So I don't know. I just kind of leave it up in the air and just, you know, the road is unwritten. I just go with the flow.
I feel you there.
Is that the first for you guys to hear that?
No, not for me. Grin, I'm just as old as you are, trust me. Now, okay, let's talk about, you know, this coming weekend and stuff for Pro Wrestling Blitz. You have an opportunity to be on the show with probably one of the most famous people, one of the most famous men to ever wear face paint, Road Warrior Animal. So how do you feel about that, you know, going into this weekend?
Actually, that's the 25th.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry.
But I've met Animal a few times on the road. He's a real nice guy. I met Hawk before, you know, he passed, and he was a really nice guy. Both those guys are really cool. I mean, you walk up to them, you can talk to them, you can have a conversation with them. So, I mean, that's what I like. You know, you don't have to sit there and talk wrestling. You can just talk anything. You know, me and Animal were talking about football because I'm a big football nut, and I was just asking him about his son's career and stuff, and for the Rams. So it was kind of cool to talk football talk. You know,
mm-hmm.
That was the same thing with Ron Simmons. When I met Ron Simmons, he was a really cool guy and laid back, and he was very approachable. You could walk up to him, talk to him, talk football. That's what me and him did. We talked about Peyton Manning because that's my guy. So, yeah, these guys, I mean, a lot of these guys are really cool.
Well, you want to tell us about the 18th, what's going on this weekend at Pro Wrestling Blitz? You want to go ahead and tell our listeners, our fans and stuff, what you got going on this coming weekend?
Pro Wrestling Blitz in Joliet, Illinois, and it's, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joe R. Park, but that's where it's at, and I don't memorize the address to the place, but I'm wrestling the preacher of the company, and I'm gonna put him in the grinder. You know, he's going after my belt, so I'm gonna free his mind.
Hey, Grin, before you go, you want to go ahead and tell our listeners and our fans and stuff how they can follow you, how they can contact you, booking information for, you know, send Bodie down there in California for Freak Show, and, you know, Johnny Plinko for Hood Slam, or anybody in New York. Go ahead and, you know, give our fans and listeners and stuff all your social media accounts and stuff.
Yeah, the best way to find me is Grin, capital N, and Barrett, Barrett, on Facebook. On Twitter, I go by Grin the Wrestler, and I have an Instagram. It's, I believe, Grin and Barrett 6969. So those are some of the places you can find me and see my pictures. And videos, and other books.
Cool. Hey, well, Grin, once again, on behalf of, the Undisputed Wrestling Show, myself, the Bronze God, Lennox Norris, Rick Craig, Zane Paisley, Kevin, thank you for being on the show. We'd love to have you back on again. Hopefully, we'll meet up in the future and stuff, and we can sit there and talk football, because I'm a huge St. Louis Rams fan. I despise the Bears.
And hopefully I can be
I'm
up
a
in the
Denver
Chicago
fan.
area.
So thank you for being on the show, Grin. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Thank you. Once again, this is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. I'm your host right now, the NWA Continental Champion, Will Huckabee. Right before we go, I want to say once again, go and you can find us. Not only can you download this show and all the other shows on the Angry Mark podcast on iTunes by looking up Angry Mark Podcast and then clicking through the episodes and downloading your favorite podcast. You can also find us on Weebly.com. I can't remember the whole thing. Kev, you want to give out the information on Weebly.com real quick?
I believe it's UndisputedWrestlingShow.weebly.com, and you can also find the show on Facebook at Undisputed Wrestling Show, and you can also find more information at AngryMarks.com, on Facebook at AngryMarks, on Twitter at AngryMarks, and on YouTube at AngryMarks.com. Spell it all out, AngryMarks, DOTCOM.
Thank you, Kev. Lennox, we have probably the greatest producer in all of podcasts. Kev is the man. I just want to let you know that. Ladies and gentlemen, also, you are listening to the official podcast for Heroes and Legends going on in Indiana, July 25th. I can't remember the city because I get hit in the head with concussions. You hit the head with chairs, and I have way too many concussions to remember small details like that. But the Undisputed Wrestling Show is the official podcast for the Heroes and Legends show going on. Also, while you listen to our show, go check out tshirtworldorder.com. Go ahead and order your T-shirt from Troy Miller, my co-host for the night, Lennox Norris, Congo Kong, and namely, if you can't get a Lennox Norris T-shirt, you can also get a T-shirt for your favorite podcast, the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Type in the promo code GRIN, that's GRIN, and get a 5% discount on your order. So order both shirts. Actually, Norris, they actually order both shirts, ours and yours. While you're at it, of course that'd be awesome. They can wear one on Monday and one on Tuesday and just alternate. While you're at it, go to WrestleWorks.com, the official website for the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Go there, connect with wrestlers, valets, managers, other wrestling fans, and wrestlers from all over the world. Make your profile. It's very, very easy. I have one myself. Those guys over there are working very hard to make sure they can link it to all your other social media accounts. Go over there, connect with wrestling fans, talk to wrestling fans. And while you're doing it, and if you can't do that, go on Facebook. Go check out Pro Wrestling Obsession. Go become a member of the group. Talk to all the great fans on Facebook. You can chat with me and Zane Paisley and Rick Craig. Talk about wrestling and not only WWE, but TNA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Lennox, I'd like to thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. I had an awesome time. Before you leave, you want to go ahead, we close up the show. You want to go ahead and give our fans and listeners and stuff all of your social media information so they can follow you, keep track with you, find out where you're going to be at, whether you're in Ohio or Indiana or heading back down to Memphis, wherever the case may lead you.
Well, this weekend I'll be in Ashland, Kentucky for NWA Appalachia, which is a new NWA promotion. And I'll be wrestling none other than Chase Stevens this Saturday. So if anyone's in the Ashland, Kentucky area or across the river in West Virginia, across the bridge in West Virginia, rather, they can come see the match and see me beat the Naturals behind, if you will. And then also I'll be at Rockstar tomorrow night in Dayton, Ohio in a singles match. So if there's anyone in the Dayton area, or in the Cincinnati area for that matter, they can come to Dayton to Rockstar Pro and see the Bronze one do his thing there as well.
All right, what's your social media, Lennox?
You can reach me at on Twitter at Lennox Norris, and on Facebook you can see me you can go to my Lennox Norris page, and that's where you can find me at. Like the page and come see where I'm going to be up to and where I'm going to be at next.
Well, as for me, listeners and fans, if you heard it once, you've heard it a million times, but find me on Facebook at William Huckabee. On Twitter, it's W-A, capital W, capital A, capital H, U-C-K-A-B-Y, W-A Huckabee on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at Will Huckabee. Send me your support, shout-outs, complaints, whatever. Like I said, I'm running for President of the United States. Give me your support. We're going to make this a grassroots campaign. We're going to clean up not only Stamford, Connecticut, but also Washington, D.C. Also, our guest next week, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, he doesn't do too many interviews, so this is definitely one you do not want to miss. There's no telling when the next time you will hear this man speak.